John Gibson is the president of Tripwire Interactive, and you don't know who that is, then you've probably heard of the series Killing Floor. On September the 4th, he threw himself headfirst into the social media meat grinder for saying something extremely controversial on Twitter. Currently running in parallel, there is a lot of focus at the moment considering they put in a law banning the abortion of babies with a heartbeat. This basically went to the Supreme Court, where they affirmed the law and it stayed in place. It was at this point Mr. John Gibson put, "Proud of US Supreme Court affirming the Texas law banning abortion for babies with a heartbeat." As an entertainer, I don't get political very often. Yet, with so many vocal peers on the other side of this issue, I felt it was important to go on the record as a pro-life game developer. I find it personally odd that this man calls himself an entertainer, because the world certainly wasn't entertained by his behaviour. As you can imagine, this tweet blew up faster than a gasoline-covered haystack. But of the most interesting responses that came to this tweet, it was those from the partners of the gaming studios. Anyway, that's what we're here to talk about, because it's not very often that we get gaming studio heads stand up and kind of take action on their statements around big political pieces. So the first person to give reaction to this was Mr. Cliff Bleszinski, who, if you don't know, is the Gears of War creator, and basically said, "You can unfollow me now, thanks." Then came in the God of War director Cory Barlog, and they basically said, "How can anyone be proud of claiming dominion over a woman's personal freedoms?" And then the biggest action comes from Shipwright Studio, who was actually co-developing with Tripwire at the time. In fact, this isn't even a recent thing. They've actually been co-developing with them for the last 3 years. So it would seem that Tripwire have a sufficient investment with Shipwright. Anyway, they came out and said, "We cannot in good conscience continue to work with Tripwire under the current leadership structure. We will begin the cancellation of our existing contracts effective immediately." And those who want the full message, it read as the following: "While your politics are your own, the moment you make them a matter of public discourse, you entangle all those working for you and with you. We have worked closely alongside the talented and passionate developers at Tripwire and your partners for the last 3+ years. We know it is difficult for employees to speak up or act out in these scenarios, and they may not feel comfortable to speak their minds. It is regrettable, but we feel it would be doing ourselves, your employees, your partners, and the industry as a whole the disservice to allow this pattern to continue without comment. We started Shipwright with the idea that it was finally time to put our money where our mouth is. We cannot in good conscience continue work with Tripwire under the current leadership structure. We will begin the cancellation of our existing contracts effectively immediately." So I mean, all the big respect to Shipwright, they're sticking to their guns and standing up for what they believe in, and doing so at a risk of perhaps financial loss. Now, interestingly enough, and I'm not really surprised about this, but Torn Banner also have got into the mix as well. And I'm not really surprised by this, but Torn Banner, if you didn't know, developed Chivalry 2, but what I didn't know at the time was actually it was published by Tripwire. They have come forward to clear the air, and they basically said, "We do not share the opinion expressed in a recent tweet by the president of Tripwire, publisher of Chivalry 2. This perspective is not shared by our team, nor is it reflected in the games we create. The statement stands in opposition to what we believe about women's rights." Now, I wouldn't be surprised if more studios come forward to speak against Tripwire. I did also have a look into Antimatter Games, so they did Rising Storm with Tripwire as well, but it looks like their studio has closed down or they've gone interactive, so there's nothing on their Twitter so far. I think with a lot of negativity going around in the gaming industry at the moment, it's nice to see some positivity. Even though this is spawned off something that is truly horrific, it's great to see all these studios coming together on a common front. So I'd like to hear what you think of the whole situation. Even if you agree with John Gibson on his point of view, I'd love to hear your comments below. Do you think studios are doing the right thing, getting involved, speaking against this tweet? Do you feel that Shipwright did the right thing? Do you think this is maybe too much of a hipfire decision? Do you think there will be greater impacts from this down the line? Do you think people may be losing their jobs and actually they've done more damage than good? These are all great discussions. I'd love to hear from you. And anyway, let me know in the comments. But have a great week, everyone, and I'll be back with more news soon.